So every once in a while, you get a chance to meet somebody that's written a cool book. And now I've got a chance to chop it up a little bit with Dennis Henson. Dennis, tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Dennis Henson. I live in Arlington, Texas. I've been a real estate investor for more than half a decade, and I've been teaching real estate and business management for over 15 years. And I guess my claim to fame are my students. I have some of the most successful business people in Texas that have gone through my program, and I'm very proud of them.
That's awesome. Talk a little bit about your book, Real Impact. I actually love the name.
Well, I was doing a podcast one time, and the host said, "Dennis, why are your students so successful? What's something that you tell them that helps them become successful? Could you tell my audience?" And I said, "Well, if they'll form good habits, if they'll form success habits, they'll become successful." Then he said, "Well, what's the number one habit?" And I said, "Form the habit of reading every day something motivational that will move you toward your goal. Form the habit of reading something every day that will motivate you and move you toward your goal." So after the podcast was over, I thought, well, that's really a great habit. Wouldn't it be wonderful if there were an app or a tool or a book? And when I said book, it just hit me. I thought, well, Dennis, you've been collecting quotes for 50 years and powerful poems and short stories, success stories of people, and books, the books that really motivated you. You kept a list of those. If you put all those together, no matter how busy someone is during their day, they'll have time to read, which makes forming the habit easy. So if they get home at night and they're exhausted and they hit the bed and they realize, oh, I forgot to read, they can open the book and read a quote, and they'll go to sleep thinking about a powerful quote, something that will really motivate them and help them to become better at whatever it is they want to be. If they're at the airport and they have 30 minutes before the plane, they can read one of the longer short stories. Or if they're in between two meetings, they could read a poem. I mean, there's no excuse not to form that habit once you have this book. And it goes further than that. In order to do what the book is intended to get you to do, you have to decide what your dream is. I mean, move you towards what? If you don't know where you want to go, then there's no telling where you're going to end up.
That is true. Hey, so talk a little bit about some of the things that inspired you to write the book itself. Who do you like align yourself with other authors? Does Mark Victor Hansen have an influence on you?
Well, actually, absolutely. Um, Mark Victor Hansen is in the book when he was collaborating on Chicken Soup for the Soul. That is a powerful story, and that's one of the short stories in the book. Other people in the book would be Zig Ziglar, uh, Earl Nightingale, um, well, Jim Rohn. I mean, Napoleon Hill. The list just goes on and on and on forever. They're just super motivational people. And I have quite a number of their quotes in there, and many of the stories are about them and the struggles that they faced and how they came through them.
And the book is about overcoming struggles, correct?
The book's about forming the habit of reading something positive every day. The stories are about people who went through some difficult times and they got knocked down over and over and over, and they continued to get up and move forward, and they became so successful that everybody knows their name. I mean, who doesn't know the name of Disney or Lincoln or Sylvester Stallone? I mean, these are really famous people, But if they, at any of those times when they faced those difficulties, had given up or not gotten back up when they got knocked down, we wouldn't know their names today.
How many times did Sylvester Stallone get rejected about Rocky?
Well, actually, he didn't get rejected. He rejected them. He had written the script after witnessing a boxing match. And for the next 3 days, he was so impressed by the boxing match. For the next 3 days, he wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote a movie script. So he went in for an interview and the part didn't fit him. So he got to the door and then he realized, oh, there's producers here. And he turned around and walked to the producers and said, hey guys, I wrote a great movie script. Well, to get rid of him, they said, oh, that's fine, bring it by and we'll look at it. And he left and they didn't think they'd ever see him again. But the next day he showed up with a script and they read it and they loved it. I mean, immediately they loved it. So they contacted him and said, we'll give you $350,000 for this script. And Sylvester said, that's good, I'll do that, but I'm playing the lead. Well, they balked at that. They didn't want him to play the lead. Now, the back of this story is Sylvester is living in a bus station. He has no home, and he's taking showers in the YMCA. And he just had to sell his dog because he didn't have enough money to feed the dog.
Yeah.
So he's in terrible shape. But he turned him down. He said, no, if I can't be the star, it would kill me. So I'm not going to sell it to you. I'll sell it to someone else. So they negotiated with him and they came down on the price from $350,000 to $35,000, a tenth. And then they said, okay, you can play it, but you got to produce it. And we're only going to give you $1 million to produce it. So he used handheld cameras. He used his friends and his relatives as actors, and he came in under budget. So that's the beginning of the story. I'll let you read the rest of it, but it's quite a motivational story where he risked everything. He risked going back living in a bus station and losing his dog permanently. He really loved that dog. By the way, the dog was in the movie.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Was that the pit bull that he bought? What was her? Adrian.
Yeah. But because Adrian,
Butkus.
yeah, Adrian was his girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, you ever wonder why Sylvester Stallone talks so funny? Hey, Adrian, you ever wonder why he talked like that?
Well, it's the accent from where he grew up. When he was born, there were complications, and he was injured in his birth, and it caused him to have one side of his face was drawn. So he talked funny, but he also had a really, really deep accent from where he grew up.
Yeah, he had Bell's palsy, and it affected the side of his face and affected his speech, and that made him a unique speaker. And people used that against him and told him that's why he wouldn't be a great actor, when in reality, it's why he stood out. It's why he was unique.
Right.
Talk a little bit about how much faith mattered at that time in life for a person like Sylvester Stallone.
Well, the book has an underlying. My dog is warning in. I don't know if you can hear him, but
I got one right underneath my desk. She keeps like going, are you almost done? I'm like, not even close.
So the underlying theme of the book is, I live in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Arlington, so I like acronyms. So the acronym for the book is DFWA.
All right, so I know DFW is Dallas Fort Worth.
Right. So the D stands for desire, F stands for faith, W stands for will, and A stands for action. DFWA. So the first thing you have to have in order to accomplish anything great is a burning desire. I'm sure you've read Think and Grow Rich.
Yep. 13 times. I actually love that book.
The underlying theme of Think and Grow Rich is a burning desire all the way through. Napoleon Hill says there's this thing that these successful people all have. And he never really comes out and says it, but he says, you'll uncover it as you read the book. Well, what it is a burning desire. And then you have to have faith. And all the people in the book believed that they were going to be successful, even when they were failing miserably. They still believed in their success, and they had the will to take the action. And when they got knocked down, their will picked them back up, and they moved toward their goal.
Awesome. How has faith played a part in your role in life? How has faith helped you through some of the toughest challenges of your life?
Well, if you don't have faith, you might as well just go take a job with someone else and live their dream. So if you're going to have a dream, like my dreams change from time to time. First of all, when I was in high school, I was a terrible student. I only cared about playing football. I couldn't wait till recess or the end of the day or lunchtime so I could go get a football game going. And so the first day that I was eligible, I went out to play football. My dad showed up at school. Now, I had never seen my father at school ever. And there he was on the sideline. So I went over to see what was going on, and he took my helmet and handed it to the coach. And he said, my son's not playing. And that was my last day of football. So I joined the band and played the drums. One day, a college band came in and played a concert. At the end of the concert, the band director said, I brought a little treat for you. I brought my marching drum section, and they're going to play a little thing. Well, they walked out it was in the gym. They walked out on the gym floor and they put on sunglasses. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be good. And it was. They played something that was, it was unbelievable. I couldn't believe that anybody could play anything that was that wonderful. My mind exploded. So I went to my band director and I said, I want to be in that group. I want to be in that drum section. He laughed and he said, if you want to be in that group, you got to go to college. And with your grades, they're never going to, they'll never accept you. And I said, well, if I bring my grades up and go to college, can I be in that group? He said, well, that's the first step. So this was in the 9th grade. I brought my grades from D's and F's to A's and B's. And 4 years later, I was accepted into Jacksonville State University and became a member of the Southerners drum section and became the section leader. So that was the first time that faith came in. I believed I was going to be accepted in college, which was kind of a joke to my teachers. They heard I was going to college. They laughed. They thought, well, that's funny. He'll never make it. He's just not cut out to be a college. And then I went on and got a master's degree and worked on my doctorate. So I guess I surprised a lot of people in my hometown.
It's amazing what happens when that change happens in your life, where you have faith in yourself and you believe that you can do whatever you set your mind to.
Right. That's just the first instant. I could tell you 3 or 4 stories like that, but they're all the same. It was, oh, that's what I want to do. But when I was at Jacksonville, they had drum major trials. Now, Jacksonville State University band is still maybe the best band in the United States. I mean, it's really good.
Isn't that the university that Walter Payton from the Chicago Bears went to?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's in Northeast Alabama. It's a little school, but the only fame it has really, well, they played for a national championship yesterday in their league.
Oh, good.
They have a pretty good football team, but it's not like Alabama or Auburn, not that level. But one day they had drum major tryouts, and I had never even thought of being a drum major. And the drummer said, well, Dennis, you try out. A bunch of people tried out. They said, Dennis, try out. And they pushed me out there. Well, I hadn't even thought I didn't know what to do or anything. So I made a really fool of myself. I made a big mistake, and the drummers were laying on the field, rolling on the ground, laughing, beating the drums. And I looked at them and I thought, next year, you're not going to be laughing at me.
Did
And
uh did you play the big drum, the one that's like strapped to your chest?
no, I was a snare drummer.
So the ones at the bottom?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun.
You know, there's a lot of schools in the South where the drum band is just amazing. There was a movie, can't remember the movie. I want to say something about, I don't know, it was about a black
Drumline.
school and they had like
Drumline.
drumline.
Yeah.
That movie, that stuff was amazing.
That's the kind of stuff we did, except we did it 30 years before they did it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that takes a lot of skill because you have to coordinate with the rest of the people that are in your group, and yeah, that's trust me, that's amazing. Did you have the guy with the big stick?
We were more of a drum and bugle corps style. I didn't use a lance. I just directed with my hands, and did a lot more stuff than the people with the lances did. I mean, there's several kinds of being a drum major, but I had my own style. It was a drum corps style, and bands had not quite adopted it at that time, but I was one of the first to adopt it.
What are some of the things that you learned from being in the drum major that applied to you later on in life?
My band director was great at delegating. Instead of putting on the show himself and training all the musicians himself, he delegated all that to the section leaders and the drum major. So as the drum major, I was really the band director. I put on the show, I practiced, had them go over it as many times as it was necessary. I'd stop them and start them and whatever. And all of the section leaders, for example, the trumpets, trombones, the drums, would practice their part. They'd have sectionals and practice their part. So the band director he was just great at delegating. He would write the show, he'd write the music, then he would have a meeting with all of us and give it to us, and we'd put it on, and it was pretty special. It was for back in that time, that was an amazing band to watch. It still is. I mean, you can Google Jacksonville State University Marching Southerners, and it'll blow you away. I mean, they are really, really good band and drum section.
So talk a little bit about why you chose a lampshade for the cover of your book.
Well, what did I do with the books? I guess I'm moving. Oh, here they are. Let me show you. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. It has Aladdin's lamp on the front of the book. So, do you know the story of Aladdin?
A little bit. I mean, unless I'm missing something, it's the guy that popped out of the lamp when you rub the lamp, right?
It was a young man who found an old lamp, and he realized when he rubbed the lamp, it had magical powers. And if he rubbed the lamp, he'd be able to wish for whatever he wanted and get it. And so people hear the story and they think, well, that's just a fairy tale. What's that got to do with reality? Nothing. Well, the truth is, this book is like that lamp. If you have this book and you do the secret liturgy, which is inside the book, you can have anything you want. It's like magic. It's like inertia or magnetism or gravity. It's impossible. It's invisible. You can't see it, but it has a lot of power, like the ocean tides or the wind. And so what this book is, it has a little introduction that says how to use this book. And if you possess the book and do what the introduction says, it's a straight line from where you are to wherever you want to be. And it's amazing. And I know it works because I had over 400 students that just blew it away. I mean, they were able to just start with nothing and become millionaires in mere months, some of them in weeks.
That's impressive. Do you talk a little bit about some of their stories in the book?
I do. The very first part of the book is testimonials. It's just one after another testimonials where the students say, listen to what he says because it will change your life. And then they tell about how successful they've been. And that's pretty impressive, just those stories. In fact, someone came in and said, I read your book. And I said, well, which story did you like best? And they said, well, the little girl from Brazil that came to the United States and couldn't speak English. And she ended up with 1,000 properties. And I thought, that's funny. That's not a story in the book. That's a testimonial in the beginning of the book. It's a testimonial, and they thought that was the best story. And it is a good story.
That is a great story. I love stories like that when people overcome unbelievable challenges, especially as an immigrant.
Right.
Um, it just, it speaks so many volumes to their faith in themselves and also their desire to push forward. So talk a little bit about something that if somebody's listening and watching this podcast, what kind of gift can we give them today? What can we give them to make them a little bit happier around Christmas time?
If they will go to realimpactbook.com, realimpactbook.com, and scroll down to the bottom. Before you scroll to the bottom, though, watch the video, look at all of the different articles there. But before you leave the website, scroll to the bottom where it says podcast attendee. If you click on that, put in your name and email, the book will automatically be sent to you instantly. And you will not be put on a mailing list unless you choose to be. If you choose to know when my next books come out, there's a little link there that says notify me when you have other books. Otherwise, that's it. You just get the book.
Are you working on another book?
Oh yeah, I've got 4 real estate books that I've already finished that are in production. And Real Impact 2 is about 80% finished with additional stories and poems and books and quotes. And then I'm working on the 7 Secrets of Success, which I've been working on that for 50 years, but it's getting pretty close to being done.
Well, you've been working on it for 50 years. I'm pretty sure it's going to be packed with knowledge and information that people could use.
It is. It is. It's, Napoleon Hill spent part of his life meeting with people and learning about what made them successful. And he tried to put all that in Think and Grow Rich, and he did pretty well.
Yeah, he
But
did very well.
He didn't have the ability to do what I can do because he didn't have Google and he didn't have the internet and AI. So I've looked at hundreds of successful people, and I've developed the 7 things that they all really do have in common that anyone can use. I'll tell you what they are. You don't have to read the book, but I hope you will read the book when it comes out. The first of the 7 secrets is you have to get your mind right. You have to know where you're going. And you got to believe that you're going to get there. That's like Henry Ford said, if a fellow believes he can do a thing, he's probably right. If a fellow believes he can't do a thing, he's probably right. So belief is critical in success. And super successful people all believe that they can become successful. The second one is to seek wisdom. That's what this book's about. Reading something every day that moves you closer to your goal. Every journey is a step, a step, a step. Some of the steps are bigger than others. Some of them are stepping stones where you had obstacles to overcome. But if you don't take those steps, you'll never get where you want to go. So you need to seek wisdom every day and develop skills. And business skills can be broken down into 5 areas: mining, money, maintenance, marketing, and managing. Mining is finding something to sell. Money is you got to have money to run the business. Maintenance is putting it together. Marketing is letting everybody know it's there, and then you have to manage your business. Making detailed plans. The more detailed plans you have and the further out they go, the more success you're going to realize. So detailed plans are critical. And then they take massive action. Now, successful people say they take action. No, they don't take action. they take massive action.
You know,
More,
that's the one thing I learned from Tony Robbins is it's got to be massive action. You got to really like embrace taking massive action.
yes, it's more than other, it's more than the normal person is willing to do. You got to do more than that. And then I break all these down and, have a more than a chapter on each one. Then you need to form great alliances. Like today, I'm talking with you. That's a great alliance. You know, a lot of people, a lot of influential people. So I just formed a new great alliance, which is going to make me better, bring me closer to my goal. And people knowing you, whether anybody that's listening, whether they know it or not, they are forming a great alliance without even knowing it. But if you know it and you're looking for great alliances, then you can form a lot of them and make things move so much faster. And
Yeah,
then,
I always tell people that one of the keys to life, to leveling up your life, I don't care if you're trying to get fit, I don't care if you're trying to find someone to love, I don't care if you're trying to level up your business or even your wealth, you have to make great connections and you have to literally go out of your way to keep great connections in your life. And those are the people that add value to your life. And obviously, the opposite of that is the people that don't add value and that are not great connections. Sad to say, whether you like them or not, you sometimes have to just cut them loose.
yes, well, you should. You absolutely should. It's kind of like if you put crabs in a bucket and one of them tries to crawl out, the others pull him back. You can't have that in your life. You know,
Yeah, that's
you got,
and funny because that's a great example. I've actually seen crabs act like that, and yeah, it's amazing that you get one to the very top and the rest pull the other one down.
exactly. And the seventh secret is persistence. And persistence simply means you have to get up one more time than you fall down. That's just that simple. I mean, you get knocked down, and you know this. If
You
you're,
gotta be Rocky Balboa
that's right. If you're going to be in business, you're going to get knocked down. That's
every day.
part of it.
In fact, in business, you got to be looking to get knocked down so that you understand that hey, this is where I got to work on my business because the knockdowns in life are where you get the greatest lessons.
Right.
In fact, a friend of mine is a boxer, and his dad was a three-time world champion. And the one thing that his dad told him all the time is he's like, listen, I didn't become a champion because I got up and won the fight and outboxed the other person. It's because when I got knocked down, I got up and I learned why I got knocked down. And that's Terry Norris, by the way.
Right. One of the quotes in the back of the book says, embrace your problems. They're your best teacher.
That's a great quote. And the funny thing is, people, I sometimes thank God for my challenges because at the end of the day, God gives you challenges to teach you lessons. Tom Brady said something recently when he retired. He said, everyone asks me about how I won these championships, how I won 7 Super Bowl rings, how does it feel, so on and so forth. He goes, the greatest lessons I learned were all my challenges. He goes, those were where I learned lessons. That's where I learned hard work. And if you come into football and you don't understand that football is going to teach you a lesson every single day, life is going to teach you a lesson every single day, and you have to embrace those lessons and those points of knowledge that God's giving you, and store that information so that you can grow and become better and level up your life. Then you're just not going to make it in life. You're just not going to find the success that you're looking for.
No, Chris, you're hitting the nail on the head because God gives you things every day. One of the things he gives you is challenges. Another thing he gives you is desires.
Yep.
Desires are a gift from God. And so many people say, oh, I'm going to reject this wonderful gift because they don't even know it's a gift. And I can't do it. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the education. I don't have the money. I don't have the connections. I don't have this, that, or that. They tell themselves it's impossible. Well, you wouldn't have had the desire if it wasn't possible.
Yes.
Everything that you witness, this glass, the screen you're
Well, It's interesting because you're down in Texas, and there's another guy down in Texas recently. His name is Elon Musk. And there was a point when he started both SpaceX and Tesla at around the same time.
Right.
And there was a time there where he was literally going to go bankrupt and lose both of those projects. And he had to literally say to himself, I'm not going to fail. He was one day away from missing payroll for Tesla, flew all the way to the Middle East, negotiated investment capital from some very rich sheiks, and then literally saved not only Tesla, but that was able to allow him to raise money for SpaceX. Both of those companies today are some of the most important projects of mankind in the history of mankind. And had they failed and gone away, mankind would be for the worse off.
Exactly.
And put it in perspective, SpaceX has literally put 70% of all satellites in space out there. And they're literally running rocket missions almost on a daily basis, which NASA for years would shoot a rocket into space, but they would discard this massively expensive payload. And now they literally bring that payload back and they literally reuse it over and over again.
That's right. Everything starts with a desire. Every object that you're looking at, if you look around the room, wherever you are, a lamp or door, it all started with
I'm gonna start rubbing my lamp. Maybe there's a genie in my lamps. I think I'm missing the bus on the whole lamps. I gotta start rubbing the lamps around this house.
Well, it's the book. Get the book.
I got the book. I got the auto file. I'm gonna pass out this weekend and listen to it while I'm sleeping.
Wonderful.
I listen to audiobooks. I find that to be the best way to enjoy books.
Well, it's good. I got one of the best speakers. I went through hundreds of voices, hundreds, until I found I had a 6-month wait to get to this guy to do it, but I wasn't going to have anyone else do it. He has just a marvelous voice. So I'm very proud of the audiobook. But for this to work, you actually have to have either the soft or hardcover book, because the way it's laid out, you have to have the book in your hand. It's like the lamp. So you'll listen to it and you'll think, oh, this is great. I'm gonna have to get the book.
Where can you buy the book? Is it just online?
You can get it on Amazon. You just type in Dennis J. Henson or Real Impact Daily Inspiration, or you can get it at realimpactbook.com.
Awesome. So if you were going to leave an inspirational message to people watching this podcast today, I always ask everyone, give people something to get further in life on, to help them move, maybe inspire them to move. What would you tell people? What would be your message of inspiration?
Well, it's what I'm going to say is redundant, but that's good. The more times they hear it. If they will form the habit of reading something motivational and educational every single day for the rest of their life that moves them toward their ultimate goal, I couldn't tell them anything that would be any better. I can't think of anything that would be any better.
Do you think your puppy is inspired right now?
Yes, he's begging to come in. He hears us talking and he thinks there's.
He's like, wait a second, what's going on? Are they talking about me? Does he have a big bag of treats?
He wants to see who I'm talking to, that he loves people.
Hey, you know what? I'm a big dog lover. Why don't you go grab him and let's say hi to him?
Okay, Cooper, you can come in. Come on. Chris wants to say hello. Come here. Come. Whoa, my goodness. Oh, there's the boy.
Oh my God, he's a baby. What's his name?
Cooper.
I'm sorry?
Cooper.
Oh, Cooper.
Cooper.
How old is he now?
He's 3. He'll be 3 next month.
I figured he looked like he was like 3 years old.
He's a good dog, very intelligent.
What is he, a lab?
He's part Basset Hound and part German Shepherd.
Oh, he looks great.
Little tiny legs and a German Shepherd's head. Wonderful dog.
I got news for you. God sends you angels in the form of dogs to watch over you. And in return, we watch over them.
That's right. I love this dog. I really do. He walks with me every single day.
Oh, that's probably why he was crying. He's probably like, listen, Dad, how about we go for another one of those?
Well,
By the way, Dennis, I got to warn you, we can't say the W word on the show. It'll cause me problems on my end.
I don't know.
W WALK. As soon as they hear that word, I got two little ones over here. They lose
Oh,
their mind. For whatever reason, they know that one word in the English language.
that's funny. That's funny. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, we're very I'm very careful when I use that word around here because usually all of a sudden it'll be like, and they'll get their ears will pop up and they'll be like, "Are we?" I'm like, "Probably."
Uh, So let me finish this thought before we leave. In order to use this book, you first have to decide where you're going. That's important. You wanted me to tell people something that would help them. Decide where you're going. What is it you want? What you want to do? Where you want to go? Who you want to see? What do you want to become? Then you can use the book to get there. But so many people just drift through life. They have no desire, or they had a desire and they said, no, thank you, God. I'm just not going to do that. I don't have what it takes. When Abraham Lincoln, who doesn't know Abraham Lincoln? I mean, everybody knows Abraham Lincoln. He's very famous, and we even
Honest
had
Abe.
a holiday. Yeah, we had a holiday named after him until just a few years ago.
Oh, we got rid of the Abraham Lincoln Day.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
man,
President's Day now.
what
But
what did Abe do to piss off the lunatic Democrats?
yeah, that's right. He was a success. So he didn't have a first grade education. He loved learning. And so he found books anywhere he could. He would go down to a crossroad near, he lived in the woods. And I say it was near, there was really nothing near. He had to walk 4 or 5 miles to get to the crossroad. But anybody that came down the road, he would stop them. And if they had a book, he would get it and read it.
That's awesome.
He
And
visited,
back then, books were sparse.
right. He said, I've read
Sparse,
every
sparse.
book within 50 miles. He would walk 50 miles to borrow books from neighbors, which I doubt if they even knew they were his neighbors. But then he was able to use all the knowledge he accumulated to become probably the top lawyer in Illinois. And then he went into politics and became the president of the United States. So
At a time when it was difficult because it was when he was dealing with a country that was fractured.
Oh yeah. Well, 10 states wouldn't even put him on the ballot. And there were only 30 something states, and 10 of them wouldn't put him on the ballot, and he still won.
I was going to say that's 1/3 of the country at that time.
Right.
That's amazing. Listen, Dennis, I've loved talking to you. Um, we're gonna chop it up again very, very soon.
Good.
You have a great book there. I think people need to feed their brain like they feed their bodies. Everyone's like, hey, let's go get a cheeseburger. Hey, let's go out to dinner. Hey, let's go grab some sushi. All you can eat. It's unbelievable. My stomach is craving it. And I always tell people, what's your brain craving today? You got to feed your brain something. You got to make sure that your brain is getting healthy. Whether it's a podcast or a book, you got to feed your brain just like you feed your stomach. And the sad fact is, most people these days are not feeding their brain. They ignore their brain. And after a while, if you ignore something long enough, it turns into mush. And the more you feed your brain, the healthier your life becomes. Your brain is literally the number one thing that allows you to control the passage and the direction of your life.
Before we leave, I want to tell everybody how to make someone happy. If you make someone else happy, it makes yourself happy. Go to Amazon, go to Real Impact Daily Inspiration, and I'll leave the book a rating, and I'll read it immediately, and I'll be happy.
Awesome.
So you'll make me happy.
Leave Dennis a rating, and yeah, I think I'll be honest with you. That's an easy way to make somebody happy. Bet you Cooper will be happy. You could read it to Cooper.
That's right.
And hey, Cooper, I got a rating from this guy named Chris. Let me read it to you.
Well, you'll make a lot of people happy. There are a lot of authors out there that would love to have a rating. So if you read someone's book, leave them a good rating because it means a lot to them.
Awesome. You know what? That's actually, I'm going to go out of my way to do that today. I'll do that with you, and then I'm going to do it with some other books that I've read. I really have never done the ratings, but I've enjoyed the books, and I should probably do that because I actually thought to myself, some of these authors get so many ratings. I'm like, they're never going to see mine, and I bet you they do read through them.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. You really don't even have to write anything. You can just leave stars if you want to, but it's so much.
I think it's more personal when you actually say something. It's as if you're like literally telling them, what happened after you read their book.
Exactly. And you can get some good tips on what to get out of the book by reading other people's ratings.
Yeah, that's actually interesting. Wow, you know what? That in itself is like a little nugget of knowledge. I love truth bombs and knowledge bombs. I love when you put little knowledge bombs out there in the world, and all of a sudden you see like little explosions in somebody's head and realize, holy shit, I didn't know that. That's great.
All right.
Listen, he's Dennis Henson. He's an author. He is a great guy to chop it up with. I have enjoyed this time with you today. I absolutely positively wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. Good luck, Chris.
All right, Cooper, have a good one.